Hey guys, how's it going and welcome back. Well, we are playing Cyberpunk 2077 today. And I've been playing this game off and on for a while since I got it. I'm starting to get into that whole AAA game thing on the Windows environment. And I gotta tell you, I'm really liking it. Now, I've made some changes though to my computers in the house here, because I have now just the two. I've got my PC and my M1 Mac Mini. And recently I upgraded the RAM in my PC to 32 gigs. Now, if you are going to play Cyberpunk and you actually want to play it, then you should be going after the recommended specs as close as you can at least. And that means 32 gigs of RAM. I'm finding I have a Ryzen 7 8-core processor that's 3.2 gigahertz base clock frequency, and I can jack it up to about 4.1 to 4.2 kind of deal. Now, being that my entire system is AMD MSI matched setup, there's a lot of things in the AMD systems that you can tweak, more so than what I find in other computers, and just easy overrides too. Like, for example, I'm in what's called gamer mode. So I'm not actually running the whole 3.2 gigahertz of my chip. I'm only running around 3 of it, okay? And it keeps your video balanced, your CPU balanced, and everything else, and away you go. And my top-end processing clock up, if you would call it, I have what's called video editing mode, or video mode, and that just jacks the processor, the video, and everything right to the hilt, like right to the spectrum, so you can just full it out it. Now, I would recommend, if you are running a 4 gigs graphic card like I am that also shares system RAM for extra video power, make sure you override the fan settings on your card so that it's going to be able to keep up and keep things cooled down. I actually ran into a little glitch earlier because I'm running this at the higher graphic level, and that is really going to chew into your video with this game, because this game wants 16 gigs of RAM just to itself, which means you need at least 32 gigs of RAM recommended in your computer, because you still have your Windows OS and what it's going to take for graphics, as well as what it needs period for memory to just run the OS. And then you're going to, make sure all your other background apps and stuff are closed and just fire up your game. Now, your game itself, the game wants 16 gigs for the recommended. Now, this game will run on a lower spec machine. It will run pretty good, okay? But you're going to have to run at a much lower graphic level as well, okay? And this thing goes right up to ultra. Now, honestly, guys, between medium to ultra, I don't personally see a lot of difference between the two. At least I'm not seeing it on a 1080p 75 hertz IPS panel. Now, I do see a little bit of difference, obviously, on a 2K display and running the game in 2K over 1080. So that's definitely going to be a bit of difference on that. Plus, depends on the features your monitor has, your card has. Like, I've got FreeSync on this thing. FreeSync's enabled. That takes a bit of an FPS chop, so you can always disable FreeSync if you wanted to. I don't have the 1 millisecond motion blur on this screen, so I'm not worried about it, and that will also take you onto an FPS chop as well. This game right now on my system, like I said, I've got that 8-core processor from Ryzen 7. I've got this 32 gigs of RAM. My video card is also an AMD RX 570 series with 4 gigabytes of RAM. And with the 32 gigs of RAM in the computer, I'm actually able to get a grand total of 16 gigs of system RAM shared with that card to give me 20 gigs of video power. Now, it's only going to take from system RAM if and when it needs that extra RAM, and it's only going to take exactly what it needs for your program. So in this case, I'm going to lose about 4 gigabytes of system RAM to this, which still leaves me tons of RAM open to do whatever. And of course, I am going to take a little bit of a hit too with the Windows OS running in the background. Whatever it's going to use for video RAM power, that's going to be stolen as well. But the game is running at a little over 60 FPS in my current settings, and even on the 1080p screen, which I really didn't want to go back to, but I I kind of have to. It's just because I need to separate myself from one desk and be able to go between both, because I got to concentrate on my music with my Mac, and I'm switching everything over to where my PC is not going on the internet except for Windows updates, and if I do get into online gaming down the road once we get a faster internet connection, that is the only thing this thing is going to be doing. That's its life. Games, right? So I want to separate myself from it so that I'm not so too much time on the PC during the day. I can actually concentrate. So far, we're not doing that great at it. We're not doing so bad at it either. But anyways, so you do have to have a decently spec'd out system to play the game at the recommended level. But it will run on minimum. So do look up the minimum specs. And if you do have the minimum specs, you can expect probably about 37 to 40. Maybe you might get lucky and get about 45 FPS out of the game. Now, it's not a high FPS game either, which I'm finding, because you do a lot of standing around, sitting in the chair, getting work done to you. You're doing a lot of walking around as well. So if we went into running, we can run a bit here and there. And I mean, the game runs really smooth. Now, the game was also running really smooth before I did just the RAM upgrade to the computer, but I found it ran the best in medium. Now I can run it in ultra mode if I want to, and it's running just the same no matter what. So obviously the system RAM also, I made sure that my system RAM was also at the top level speed. So I've got a 3.2 gigahertz processor. I got in 3200 megahertz RAM as well, because I was running 2400 megahertz RAM, and that does cause a bottleneck in your system. So you want to make sure that your RAM always matches the maximum speed with your processor, and then this way you've annihilated bottlenecks, which makes things also run a lot faster and smoother for you. But anyways, as far as graphics go, I mean, the graphics on this are really, really, they're really nice. Let's go for a little walk. I'm actually supposed to be seeing Victor there right now to get some work done to my head because of some other thing that messed with me. But, if you look around here and, it's just an amazing program. That's actually my car. But, yeah, it's really nice. The people look very realistic, look like they're not real people, obviously, but I mean, they look really good, and it takes a lot of graphics power to do this. Like even the fire in the bin, that's looking nice, so that's actually really good. So let's go back down and see Victor here. Now, this is a long, tedious game, okay? I mean, you are not going to be beating this game in one day. It's just not going to happen. I've sat here for as much as 6 hours, other than, going to a bathroom break, getting more pop, whatever. And I didn't get that far in the game. I mean, there's missions after missions to do. There's, trying to keep your eyeballs peeled on, going where you need to go and watching that map, because that map gives you directions. And some of the missions, you really need to rely on that map to know exactly where you're going in certain rooms and stuff. Like this is my second time around Cyberpunk and I haven't never beaten the game. I've only been playing this for a little bit. But because I had to recently reload my computers, it's kind of like I'm starting all over again, right? But at least I have a good idea of what I'm doing and where I'm going now from my first run to where I ended up in the end, where I actually got a bullet in the head from some guy that I was working for. It's like, so probably shouldn't trust him. Should have gone with a chick, which I think I might try this time. But definitely, I mean, the lighting is nice. The detail of everything is just amazing in this program. And again, that is going to take a lot of power in a computer. So, you're not going to do this on one of those little, crummy little $500 Acer Aspire computers. It's just not going to work for you. You need something that's a gamer class system. So you're going to spend a few $1,000s, obviously, to play games that are AAA titles, right? And we do have more game reviews coming for you as well. over the next little bit too, so I thought I'd start with this one right now, get you into that one a little bit. I'd love to sit here for the next half an hour and just play the game with you, but I wanted to, just give you my experience with it so far and what I really think of it. And I gotta tell you, it's definitely a worthwhile game to play, especially if you like having adventure, strategy, action, all tied up into one package. And this game can get really mental. Like, you start getting the guns going and you're in shootouts, and it's like, oh, you got to run, you got to heal yourself, you got to do this, you got to do that, and you're like, you have a lot of machine tech in your body, as opposed to body, right? Like, I mean, you plug friggin' chips into your head, and you've got, a plug-in system to plug into other people with, or other devices that comes out of your wrist, and it's a whole new level of cyber, right? And yeah, it's definitely quite the cool game. So I'm really enjoying it. Hopefully you guys, if you've been playing it, you're enjoying it. And if you haven't played it and you've got a machine that at least meets the minimum specs, so like I said, look up Cyberpunk 2077 specs, just like that on Google. And it's going to tell you what you're going to need for the minimum and what you need for recommended. Now, I do, of course, obviously recommend the recommended as much as you can. Now, I still am going to search around for probably a 16 gig video card and see how many thousands that costs me. Because it's not just about Cyberpunk, it's about a lot of the AAA titles that I want to be able to play. And I do have the main horsepower. I just need to get more proper video power, which is going to be really handy. But even for what I have now, this is playing quite nice. So I can't wait to dive into like the Tomb Raider series and whatnot, and check those games out and play them, and see how they are, if I like them. I've been kind of looking into them for a while. I just like to have more real stuff, and if we can get our internet connection sorted out in the next little bit, that we can have real internet to play multiplayer online, then I definitely want to get back into America's Army. I actually have to check and see if they're still running that on the server. I think they are, but it's been years since I've played that game, and I love it because the graphics are so really real, even the last time I played it. So I can't imagine what it's going to be like playing it today, so that'll be awesome. But anyways, guys, do check out Cyberpunk. Very cool game. Highly recommend. If you want a star rating on this game, I would easily put this thing at 4.5 out of 5. Definitely. But you definitely are going to have some horsepower to play it, that's for sure. So I'm glad I did pick right when I did buy my computer. I am going to do one more stage level of RAM upgrade in this thing too. I'm going to take it to 64 gigs of RAM as soon as I can afford it. Because even though I got the 32 now, it's kind of like, well, 32 is really nice and comfy, but I'm going to end up getting a bigger video card down the road. I'm going to definitely have to increase my power supply wattage, because I've got more than enough right now to get up to an 8 gig card. But if I start running like a 16 gig graphics card, I'm going to need a lot more powerful power supply for my computer to run everything properly. Anyways, in the meantime, thanks so much for watching the video. Glad you stopped in. Do check out more. Got more videos coming for you for some game reviews, games I've been playing. They're new games to me, so we'll check those out together and see what you think. And catch you on the next one. See ya.